This tutorial is for 4th grade, Module 1, Lesson 2a. In this lesson, we're going to see how numbers grow when we multiply them by 10. The first section says to represent the product, or the answer to a multiplication problem, by drawing discs on the place value chart. And we're starting with 10 times 2 thousands. I'm going to start by drawing my 2 thousands discs in the thousands place on the chart. So here are 2 discs. Each disc represents 1,000. Now I'm going to multiply those by 10, which means I'm going to take each disc and make it 10 times greater. And I'll do that by drawing 10 more discs for each of these individual thousands discs. So I've made each disc 10 times greater. Now our rule is if we have 10 or more discs in any individual place value section, we will compose them and move them over into the next section. That means here I have 10 discs. Each disc is worth 1,000. That means altogether this group is worth 10,000. So I'm going to compose those and move them over to show that that is the same thing as one group of 10,000. Same with this group. I have 10 discs. Each disc is worth 1,000. I can compose those, move them over, and show that they are equal to one group of 10,000. Now let's fill in the blanks up here. When I took 10 times my 2,000s, I ended up with 20 discs that were each 1,000. And when I composed them, I traded them all in for 2 discs that are each 10,000. That means they have a value of 20 thousands. This disc is 10,000, this disc is 10,000, so altogether I have 20,000. 10 times 2,000 equals 20,000. Let's look at another example. This problem says 10 times 3 10,000s. So I'm going to start by drawing my 3 discs in my 10,000s place. Here's the 10,000s place. Here are my 3 discs. Now let's multiply each of those by 10 by making each one 10 times greater. And this is what that looks like. Now how many 10,000s do I have in that section? Well, I have 30. I started with 3, but then I multiplied each one by 10. So I have 30 10,000s. Let's take 10 discs, each worth 10,000, and compose them into 100,000. 10 groups of 10,000 equals 100,000. Another 10 groups of 10,000 equals another 100,000. And my last group of 10 groups of 10,000 is also 100,000. That means when I multiply 10 times 3 10,000s, I get a total of 300,000. I have 3 discs and they're all in the 100,000s place, so that equals 300,000. In the next section, I'm going to look at each expression and write it in unit form and in standard form. The first problem says 10 times 6 tenths. Well, 10 times 6 is 60, so 10 times 6 tenths would be 60 tens. We can also look at that as 6 hundredths, because 10 tens equals 100. So 60 tens would equal 6 hundredths, and in standard form, we would write it as 600. In the next question, I have 7 hundredths times 10, so 7 times 10 is 70. That means I would have 70 hundredths. Or we could say that since 10 hundredths equals 1,000, and I have 70 hundredths, I would have 7 thousandths. And I can write that in standard form. Next, I have 10 times 4 thousandths. Well, 10 times 4 is 40, so I have 40 thousandths. And I can just simply write that in standard form, 40,000. We'll follow a similar process here. This time we're taking 4 tens and 3 ones times 10. I'll do each one individually. 10 times 4 tens would give me 40 tens. 10 times 3 ones would give me 30 ones. Well, 30 ones is the same thing as 3 tens. 40 tens is the same thing as 4 hundreds. Now let's write 4 hundreds, 3 tens in standard form. 4 hundreds, 3 tens is the same thing as 430. In the next problem, I have 2 hundreds, 3 tens. I'm going to multiply those by 10. Well, 200 times 10 would be 20 hundreds. 3 tens times 10 would be 30 tens. 20 hundreds is the same thing as 2 thousands. Since 10 hundreds is the same as 1,000, 20 hundreds would be the same as 2 thousands. Since 10 tens is the same as 100, 30 tens would be the same as 3 hundreds. And in standard form, 2 thousands, 3 hundreds would look like this, 2,300. In the next problem, I have 7 thousands and 8 hundreds. I'll multiply those by 10. Well, 10 times 7 is 70, so I'll have 70 thousands. 10 times 8 is 80, so I would have 80 hundreds. Well, 80 hundreds is the same thing as 8 thousands. It takes 10 hundreds to equal 1,000. I have 80, so I have 8 thousands. Let's look at our 70 thousands. 70,000 would be the same as 7 10 thousands. So let's write 7 10 thousands and 8 thousands together in standard form. Here's my 7 10 thousands. Here's my 8 thousands. I have 0 hundreds, 0 tens, and 0 ones. Now let's use that process to solve this word problem. It says Jacob saved $2,000 bills, 4 $100 bills, and 6 $10 bills to buy a car. The car cost 10 times as much as he saved. How much did the car cost? I'm going to start by writing an answer statement, leaving a blank for the final answer. This helps keep us focused on the final step that we need to answer before solving the problem. So we'll say the car cost blank. Well, we know that Jacob saved $2,000 bills, 4 $100 bills, and 6 $10 bills for the car, but the car costs 10 times as much of each of those. That means we're going to take the 2,000s and the 400s and the 6 10s and multiply them all by 10 to give us the cost of the car. Well, 2,000s times 10 would be the same as 20 thousands, since 2 times 10 is 20. 4 hundreds times 10 would be the same as 40 hundreds. And 6 tens times 10 would be the same as 60 tens. Now, 60 tens is the same as 600 because 10 tens equal 100. I have 60, so I have 600. 40 hundreds would be the same thing as 4,000. It takes 10 hundreds to make 1,000. I have 40, so I have 4,000. 20,000 can just be written in standard form. 20,000 is the same as 20,000. Now let's combine our three answers. 20,000 plus 4,000 plus 600 would equal 24,600. That means that the price of the car is 24,600.